and strictly for recording for our purposes.
Welcome everyone to the November 8th, 2022 work session of Harbor and Coastal Zone Management Commission. I move to open the work session. All in favor? Work session is open. To remind the applicants and folks at home, the purpose of our work sessions is to go through the completeness of applications, talk about what we have, what we anticipate needing so that we can set a smooth path through our meeting next Wednesday night. The applicants are welcome to listen, and it's often useful for them to hear what we say we might need so that they can make any additional submissions, clarifications, streamline things, talk to the staff, and then we deal with administrative items. We tonight have two applicants and one administrative item. So I'm going to, and as I always do, I note that we are available streaming and I believe also still on our YouTube channel and on LMC TV. If you're here in person, and almost no one is, the exits are at either side of the courtroom. We're going to call first the 921 Soundview Drive application. This application is before us, I think for the third time. We have received substantially altered information on this application around the one issue that we've spent a lot of time discussing in the previous meeting on this application. There's been a lot of discussion about the pool and whether the pool water or pool structure itself poses a danger to the sensitive habitat in Otter Creek because it's on a steep slope right over the creek watershed. And it is within much of the work is within the 100-foot boundary. The applicant has submitted a new plan that moves the pool to grade level and gives structural details. So obviously, my view of that is we're going to want AKRF to take a look at it and give us a review. But the only thing that I know for sure that I want to know is really from Keller Sessions. Does the proposed new condition that the pool will be at grade level, does that create a problem with impervious surface? They had previously proposed to put the pool up off of the grade in order to maintain as much pervious surface as possible. And of course, all things being equal, that's desirable. However, more impervious surface doesn't mean necessarily that something is inconsistent unless we think that that's going to interfere with the ability of the village as a whole to handle the stormwater. I'm going to want to hear from Keller Sessions about the effect of the decrease in pervious surface. That's the only thing that I know that I need to know in order to get to a consistency vote. George, have you taken a look at this and do you know of anything else that you might need?
No, nothing I can think of. Okay.
Great. Sharon? Randy? Agree. Okay, so I think we know what we need to know on 921 Soundview Drive for the next meeting. We have a brand new application that will be up for preliminary. That is 1310 Flagler Drive. And do I see Kristen Motel in the room? So we received the 1310 Flagler Drive application. It's the removal of an existing home and a complete replacement within the home. Fortunately, the coastal assessment form on this is fairly complete in that sometimes coastal assessment form for other applicants and people at home can be an extremely useful tool because it walks through the policies one by one. Sometimes we get them and they are cursory on policies that we believe are should be addressed at some length. It is really helpful to start a review when they are more complete. We have not yet received any memos on these, and I wanted to hear if there are any preliminary impressions from Keller Sessions or from AKRF, because that might help us sort of frame what we're looking for in our first discussion with these folks. John Keller?
I think the applicant did a very good job with the application. The present, between the present site and the proposed project, they'll be reducing the impervious surface on the property, on the site by about 39%. So it's a significant decrease in impervious surface. They're proposing water quality structures in the rear of the property with a rain garden, an infiltration system in the front of the property to handle water quality and also detention. So I think they did a good job with the stormwater. The finished floor elevation is elevated more than 3 feet above the 100-year flood elevation. The complete area below the finished floor elevation, except for the garage and the entry into the home, is all open underneath the structure to allow floodwaters to move below the structure. And the architectural plans show venting in the garage and the entry area, which will permit equalization of the floodwaters through the area. So it appears everything, they are proposing one bathroom and a hallway below the base flood elevation, which
Yes, John, I'm being told by the LMC TV tech that your audio is a little low. If you could get a little closer to your mic, that might be helpful.
Okay, how is this?
Better.
Okay. Yeah, there was just one portion of the building itself, which I question whether it's allowed below the base flood elevation. And it's something we should probably have the building department review, make a determination on. But other than that, the AC units, the utilities were all raised above the base flood elevation.
Is there anything that you know now from looking at the application that's going to be additional information that you're going to require to complete your review?
Not from my initial review.
Okay, and Teresa?
Hi. From my initial review, the application seems fairly complete, and I don't have any comments at this time, but I will provide written comments if I have any ahead of the next meeting.
Okay, that's useful. Thank you. I took a look through it. I expect the applicant, because they're doing so much work, and because they're right on the coast, I want to checklist down through all of the potential permitting authorities that might be involved. Some I expect won't be. They've submitted documentation from Department of State from DEC rather, and and from SHPO. But I want to make sure that we go through the list: Department of State, DEC, SHPO, Army Corps of Engineers, and some of those I don't think would be involved because they're not changing the seawall. But given where it is, there's a checklist of potential permitting authorities. I want to go through all of those with the applicant and make sure that we know what other permits they might need, because if somebody were to make to change something, it would change what we're considering. They've submitted a short report by an environmental consultant, somebody who's appeared before us before, that I'm going to want AKRF to take a look at they've addressed the concerns that are under policy 7 and 44. And the answer to that so far is, from the applicant's point of view, is really that the seawall provides barrier between the proposed condition and the environment and the tidal wetlands, and that therefore it's sort of not a concern. That may be right, but I want to think about it, review the report, discuss it, and make sure, both for environmental reasons and for erosion reasons, there's part of this where the seawall stops, and there's sort of a level transition from the lot to the beach. We're going to want to think about, and not to indicate that necessarily it's a problem, but we're going to want to think about whether there's either an erosion or environmental concern where the lot essentially hits the beach. Obviously, a coastal property like this raises policy 11 and policy 12 concerns. Floodplain 11 is that we not cite people or property in harm's way, and I'm paraphrasing a bit. And 12 is that natural erosion protections be used wherever possible. I certainly get the impression that they thought about 12 carefully, and they're deploying a whole lot of natural protective features rather than structural ones. On 11, coastal building does sort of always raise the concern that coastal or riverine flood prone properties always raise the concern that people have to have a means of either egress or the ability to shelter in place. I haven't had the chance to take a look at it with the view on the architectural plans towards whether in a severe flood circumstance they would be able to get out. But just to put down a marker for the applicant to sort of be able to address at the meeting, I'm going to want to satisfy our commission that in a very severe flood circumstance, they'd either be able to shelter in place or get out, even if the area is very flooded, without the need for rescue. Because since before Hurricane Ida, and certainly after, we tend to think about policy 11 in terms of rescue capacity. And we tend to think of our rescue capacity as already all spoken for. So we are not inclined to find consistent and new residents that puts people in harm's way, in the sense that they will need rescue that might not be available. I was also thinking about policy 14, which has to do with measurable increase in erosion or flooding. And that's really just a concern about how the water moves off the lot onto the shingle. There's a place where they're replacing a basketball court. And intuitively, I would think that replacing the basketball court, rain gardens, pervious surfaces, and other features would be an improvement. But I don't like to substitute sort of guesswork for people who know what they're talking about. So we are going to want to make a record on that. I think Hudson Engineering provided some guidance on that, and we may need to drill down on that at the meeting. We will also probably have some questions about work practices to make sure that that during the work process, they're not putting wetlands at issue, though obviously this wetland environment is a lot, tidal wetlands is a lot hardier than the beach environment, is a lot hardier than some others we might be worried about. And finally, for the SWIP, primarily policy 33. I'm always grateful for John Keller's careful review. I await your memo on that, and then we'll have to talk through any issues that it raises. Those are the issues that I foresaw. Yeah, that's about it. Well, that's about it. Those are the things I expect to discuss. I'm going to open the floor to the other commissioners. George,
So nothing more from me, thank you.
Randy,
I thought it was a very good application.
it is nice to get a very complete coastal assessment form that really does a thorough job of walking through the policy. So that makes the review somewhat streamlined and a lot more pleasant for us. Okay, so that's going to wrap our discussion of 1310 Flagler. We have one administrative item, which is a report on the guidance that we gave the Board of Trustees. This is the dredging issue. The trustees have made an application for a permit to dredge in several places on the waterways. They asked us for our guidance, and we provided it. There may be folks at home, because flooding and dredging are both huge issues here. There may be folks at home who would be interested in what we said, but don't have an easy time navigating to find the guidance that we gave. I'm going to read it for any folks at home who want to follow along with this, and for whom it's difficult to go get the letter. The Harbor and Coastal Zone Management Commission has reviewed and discussed the trustees' application to the Department of State for a permit to dredge multiple locations in the village waterways. We understand that in the first instance, the Department of State will review the village local waterfront revitalization plan to determine consistency in a manner that recognizes the practices and interpretations of our HCZMC, and that upon grant of a DEC permit, the trustees will become the voting body for the village zone consistency determination as set forth in section 240-29A of our code. We are grateful that the trustees as a body has good familiarity with our LWRP and with HCZMC, which renders the task of explaining our view of the relevant policies much easier. Accordingly, we provide this guidance both to the trustees to advise the state and for the trustees to consider when making their own consistency determination. As a threshold matter, the application has some tension in that it consistently refers to the dredging as a maintenance program, but also identifies it as necessary because of the events of Hurricane Ida. If this is an emergency alteration to the riverbeds due to Ida, this seems inconsistent with the description of maintenance. If, on the other hand, this is a program to remove the silt that inevitably builds up over years and merely repeats past practices, it would need to be done in the ordinary course without regard to a recent and tragic flooding event. Our primary guidance is that when HCZMC considers applications that affect wetlands under policies 77A and 44, we have consistently required that applicants provide an opinion from an environmental scientist that the work will not adversely affect the protected wetland or habitat. The application calls for 1, cutting of approximately 20 trees, 2, removal of silt by excavator in the seabed as stream bed or on the bank, and 3, deposition of the removed material in storage piles in the immediate upland area. Silt removal, the turbidity caused by the work, the silt storage, and the tree removal each pose potential impacts, as to which the state and the trustees should, we believe, have an evidentiary record from a qualified scientist. When reviewing proposals from private applicants, HCZMC typically requires that the applicant provide an opinion and bring the opining scientists to the commission's meeting to answer questions. We also typically have guidance of the land use board consultants to understand the applicant's opinion. If we believe that the applicant's opinion is incorrect, incomplete, or overreaching, we can and will have a neutral investigation performed and a report prepared. The trustees have retained an expert firm for this application and have access to consulting firms that regularly support village land use functions. The application indicates that this dredging is maintenance, and if the village has done similar dredging in the past, there should be a good evidentiary record for a scientist to draw conclusions about the impact on these wetland environments of past similar projects. Policy 12 requires preservation of natural protective features. Work on potentially sensitive banks and the removal of trees both seem likely to impact erosion by temporarily damaging or permanently removing natural protective features. Further, the increased velocity of water flow, while beneficial to flood mitigation, also must be considered from an erosion standpoint. Policy 15 requires that dredging not interfere with the deposition of silt on natural beaches. Because of the water flow, it appears likely to laypersons that this is correct, but the process by which the harbor island beach or any other sandy seashores in the outer harbor accumulate sand may not be obvious. If HCZMC considered an application from a private applicant, we would make an evidentiary record concerning policies 12 and 15 based on the applicant's information and the guidance of our consultants that this standard was met. These concerns would seem to call for a hydrologist or other specialist with specific erosion expertise to help ensure that the project will not subject the riverbanks to added erosion or damage natural sand deposition, or assist the board in making necessary changes to the plan to prevent those things from happening. At this juncture, the application the trustees make is for a permit, and the proposal is uncertain as to many particulars about the volume and method. Past the permit stage, were we to see an application that came before Harbor Coastal for consistency review, we would expect to have the benefit of complete plans, including method of work at each part of the river, volumes and stockpile locations before voting. We expect the trustees will create and consider a more complete record before beginning work if the permit is issued, and we stand ready again to consult on consistency when more information is available. We can be available for further consultation if it would be useful to the trustees. I hope that's been useful to folks at home, since we have submitted our guidance to the trustees. We will not see this again unless and until the permit is issued and they are ready to make village's consistency determination, at which time we hope they would ask us again for our view on a more complete record. That's all we have to report on this administrative issue, and I think the only remaining issue is that we have before us a calendar of potential dates. That's an internal matter, but we should probably approve these dates. They are January 18, February 15, March 15, April 19, May 17, June 21, July 19, September 20, October 18, November 15, and December 20. Obviously, if people have a particular conflict, it may not be obvious yet, and we'll have to deal with those things as they come up. But that said, I move to adopt these dates.
Yep.
All in favor? Dates are adopted, and Woodrina will be very grateful that you've done that. Motion to close the meeting. Heard a second. All in favor?
Yep.
Our work session is closed. Thank you, folks.
She's not doing something. Yeah, she said she didn't see me down.
Oh,
I remember from the last session, she was.
right. I thought for a second that was Kristen.
No.
Right, I didn't have that. Okay, that makes perfect sense. She is-
Thomas, are the work session dates good too? Are those besides the main dates? Should we keep those as is?
Yeah, yes, keep the dates as proposed, and then we really ought to think about whether we're gonna keep doing work sessions, because it's a pain in the rear now that we have. We can always.
Two different types of functions.
Sorry. It's all right, we can, do we want to kill the work session? We adopted the work session. Rounding and administrative items. And we weren't getting to them because the applicants were, we'd get through with 2 or 3 applicants and it'd be 10 o'clock at night. We'd have 4 administrators.
I think you should do it in an ad hoc basis.
Okay, all right, kill them unless we need them. I'm fine with that.
Sorry, guys. I was completely lost. I opened my laptop at the moment, checking about the results of, election and reading all stuff.
got a lot
And I
on
got a
our
phone call. It's like, oh my word. I'm really sorry.
Rolls around the end as well.
I have-
Well.
Yeah, they won't be for a few
thank you.
days.
We at least got it done.
I have two different types of questions. One is specific to the dredging, just as a, which might be a private resident concern, I'm not sure.